Welcome back to Channel Nation of Glory. Today's story is about strength, family, passion, and legacy. It's about a woman who didn't just walk into the wrestling ring, she carried her family's history, their pride, and their spirit into it. A woman who has proven that being born into greatness doesn't make things easier, it just means the world expects even more from you. This is the story of Natalya Neidhart Wilson, known to millions around the world as Natalya, the Queen of the Harts, a symbol of determination, discipline, and heart. Natalya's story begins long before she ever stepped into a WWE ring. It begins in Calgary, Alberta, Canada, in one of the most legendary wrestling families of all time, the Hart family. Her grandfather was the great Stu Hart, the founder of the iconic Hart Dungeon. Her uncles Bret the Hitman Hart and Owen Hart were not just wrestlers, they were heroes. They carried themselves with honor, skill, and a sense of pride that inspired an entire generation. Growing up surrounded by legends, wrestling wasn't just a dream for young Natty, it was part of her DNA. From the moment she could walk, she was surrounded by the sounds of training, the echo of ropes snapping, the smell of sweat and discipline in the dungeon. But even though she was born into the Hart legacy, she knew she had to earn her place. The world doesn't hand you success even if your last name is Hart. And that's exactly what Natalya did. She earned every single ounce of her success through hard work, pain, and passion. As a child, she watched her uncles perform, her family dominate the ring, and she dreamed of continuing the legacy. But back then, women's wrestling wasn't given the respect it deserved. It was considered secondary, something that came between the big matches. But Natty was different. She wasn't here to be a sideshow, she was here to be the main event. When she started training in the Hart Dungeon, it wasn't easy. The dungeon wasn't a place for the weak. It was a place where legends were forged through pain, through struggle, and through discipline. Natty was often the only woman in a room full of men, but she never backed down. Every slam, every hold, every bruise, she took it all, and kept going. Because she wasn't just doing this for herself, she was doing it for her family's name. Her early career began in the independent wrestling scene, where she performed under her real name, Natalya Neidhart. She traveled across Canada, Japan, and Europe, building her name and perfecting her craft. People who saw her in those early days knew she was special. She had that combination of technical precision and emotional storytelling that made every match feel real. She wasn't just wrestling, she was telling stories through movement, through emotion, through every single look and gesture. Then came her big break, WWE. When she signed with the company, it felt like destiny. But even then, the journey wasn't easy. WWE is a world where every superstar fights to stand out, and even being a Hart doesn't guarantee fame. She had to start from scratch, climb the ladder step by step, and prove herself every single night. When she finally debuted on the main roster, she brought something different. She brought respect for the craft. She wasn't there to just entertain, she was there to elevate women's wrestling to the next level. Her technical skills, her poise, and her presence in the ring quickly made her one of the most respected superstars in the women's division. And then came the matches that defined her legacy. Her rivalry with Beth Phoenix, her friendship with Tamina, her battles with Charlotte Flair, Sasha Banks, Becky Lynch, and Ronda Rousey, every one of those matches told a story of passion and perseverance. Natalya didn't rely on gimmicks or flash, she relied on skill. She became the bridge between generations, the woman who connected the old-school Hart style of wrestling with the modern, high-energy women's revolution of WWE. Her crowning moment came when she captured the WWE SmackDown Women's Championship. For Natalya, that wasn't just a title, it was validation. It was a moment that said, "You did it. You carried the Hart legacy with honor." And when she stood in that ring, championship in hand, tears in her eyes, you could feel decades of dreams, struggle, and hard work coming full circle. But Natalya's impact goes beyond championships. She's been a mentor, a leader, and an inspiration for women around the world. She's trained countless young talents, guiding them with the same discipline that her grandfather once used to shape champions. Her love for wrestling is pure, not for fame, not for attention, but for the art itself. And behind every strong wrestler, there's a story of personal battles. For Natty, it was no different. She lost loved ones, including her uncle Owen, whose tragic death in 1999 left a scar on her heart forever. She carried that pain, but she also carried his memory. Every time she steps into the ring, she wrestles with the same grace, humility, and love for the fans that Owen had. Her father, Jim the Anvil Neidhart, was not only her biggest supporter but also her hero. Their bond was unbreakable. Jim was a powerhouse in his prime, part of the Hart Foundation alongside Bret Hart. When he passed away in 2018, it shattered Natty's world. But instead of letting the loss destroy her, she honored him the best way she knew how, by continuing to fight. She turned her grief into strength, her pain into motivation. Every time she walks down that ramp, you can feel her father's presence with her. Outside the ring, Natalya has shown the world that strength isn't just physical, it's emotional. She's a wife, a sister, a friend, and a role model. Her kindness, professionalism, and humility have made her one of the most beloved figures in WWE. She's also broken barriers, becoming one of the first women to wrestle in Saudi Arabia, a moment that made history not just for her, but for women all around the world. That match wasn't just about wrestling, it was about equality, courage, and change. And through it all, Natty has stayed true to herself. She's never forgotten where she came from or who she represents. She's proud of her heritage, proud of being a Hart, and proud of being a symbol of perseverance. She once said, "I'm not just wrestling for me, I'm wrestling for everyone who believes in never giving up." Even after years in the industry, she continues to reinvent herself. She trains harder than ever, helping the next generation of wrestlers find their voice just like she found hers. She's become the cornerstone of women's wrestling, respected by veterans, loved by fans, and admired by newcomers. Natalya's story isn't just about fame or glory, it's about purpose. It's about carrying forward a name that stands for excellence, discipline, and heart. She's living proof that legacy is not something you inherit, it's something you earn every single day. From the young girl watching her uncles in the ring to becoming one of the most accomplished women in WWE history, Natalya Neidhart's journey is a story of strength, family, and love. She has proven that no matter how heavy the expectations are, if your heart is pure and your will is strong, you can create your own destiny. And as the Queen of Hearts continues to shine in WWE, her legacy remains unshakable. She has become the bridge between the past and the future, honoring her family while inspiring countless young girls who dream of stepping into the ring one day. Her story teaches us that being great isn't about being the loudest or the flashiest, it's about being consistent, being passionate, and staying true to who you are. Because even when the world changes, the heart never does. Thank you for watching Channel Nation of Glory. If you felt inspired by Natalya's incredible journey, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Because every story we tell reminds you that greatness isn't given, it's earned through love, loss, and perseverance. Until next time, keep believing, keep fighting, and remember, every heart can become a heart when it refuses to quit.